So just to review, contour versus construction, we could say that the contour is the silhouette, the line quality, the measurements, and the composition on how you use the page. That stuff is all 2D. Um, sorry. Whereas the construction are the planes, the tops, the sides, the slopes. It's the volumes of what stuff take up, the space, the space that it takes up on the ground, just existing, all of them existing in the same space. All that stuff is construction, and all this the other stuff. That's first stuff, the silhouette, line quality, measurements, and composition. That's contour. So it's not going to be one or the other. You got to use them both. But before we talk about that, let me get into silhouette real quick. So here we have this one, which was nicely done until we got to this point over here. We have, when you take your image and you fill it all in with black, and I kind of just left this part out. I wasn't sure which line to use, which line was the line the person was trying to use. This looked more like it was supposed to be the sphere than that. But the silhouette, when you take your image and you black everything in, so all you see are the outside, the shape, the entire shape that the outside edges make. That's your silhouette. And here you can see this silhouette. You know what this is. This looks like a box. It's very clear. Right here, it's clear. It looks like a cylinder. It gets lost a little here, but not so much. Not so much that it's a problem at all. This is pretty clear up until, but then when we get here, it's very unclear. There's no idea what's going on. There's no way to tell that that's a sphere. So if you have something like that going on in your setup for direct observation, move it. Move the object. You don't have to just toss everything down and then use it exactly as it is there. Keep moving stuff around until it's a good composition. Like say this had been over here, you'd be able to see that you'd be able to see better that it was a sphere, and everything still would have been more clear. So yeah, just move stuff around. You don't have to just draw it. You're supposed to, like I was saying before, it's interpreting, and part of interpreting is looking at the setup you're drawing and making sure it's worth drawing. So yeah, silhouette, that's kind of important. Hopefully it's something to definitely take into account before when you do your first little light sketch in that doesn't matter because it only took you 3 to 5 minutes anyway. That's where you go and you check your silhouette before you've put any work into your lines or anything like that. So I want to talk about construction versus detail. This is something I did. I was actually proud enough of it at the time to print it out on large paper, so that's convenient. But your details are not necessarily part of the contour, but the inside lines, and your details are important only because they're going to further describe it and tell everybody the information that they need to see visually. Any details that go beyond that are unnecessary, and it starts to make everything a little too busy. Try and consider that. I know a lot of people are especially into, fans of certain like anime and manga where they just have way too much unnecessary detail to the point where you can't tell what's going on. Those are not very good illustrations. I mean, you could do that if you want to, but just warning you now, it won't look good. Right, so your details should follow your construction. If they don't, that's, it's a big problem. So you think of it: construction, contour, and then detail in terms of what the hierarchy that is going to determine how something exists in space. And you want to work very general down to details. You're not going to start by drawing in an eye. You would start by sketching in the entire figure, the head, everything. And you sketch everything in, and then you go and you like, okay, you check, and then you can go and do details. A lot of people, especially, you're drawing people, you start with drawing a face, but you haven't drawn the head yet. Things like that end up in a lot of problems that people come in, they complain, and they're like, well, I don't understand why it's happening. Well, that's why it's happening, because you're trying to do details before you've done structure. So we're just gonna look at this. This was actually done quite some time ago. So yeah, I'm looking at it and I'm hating it now. So it'll be nice and therapeutic to scribble all over it. All right, so looking at the construction, there are places where I did a decent job with making sure it was construction first. And then there's places where I tried to use contour and line to describe 3D form, and it didn't really work out. At the time I thought it did, but now I'm looking at it and it really doesn't. And then you can't do it part way, like here in this lamppost. This was constructed. This was very constructed. I wish I had a white pen. This was very constructed, with my these cylinders going, and then this, but then do the research, guys. If you don't know what something looks like, go look it up. Don't just make it up and put it in there. It always looks terrible. But I didn't carry this making sure everything is, doing that cylinder all the way through. I kind of just stopped here and then just made this roundish thing for the shape, and it doesn't fit, and it doesn't, it's not the same on both sides. It doesn't look good. It looks half-assed, and at the time I couldn't see that. I thought it was great. Then we have places like, over here, the things are very, the planes are matching up. We have our front, and that matches, and it matches our front here, and it matches our front here. Then we have another front, and we have another front. These are all front. I'm not going to fill the whole thing in. Right on the side here, this is also front. This whole side thing here is also front. And then, of course, all of this. But not necessarily all of it. Then we have, grab another color. We have the side, which this, oh no, I'm messing up my markers. This side, I'm going to have to clean them off. We have the side, we have a side, we have a side. And that's one thing people need to realize. Just because it's smooth, there's still a side. When that dips, it's still a side. We have a side here. That's a bottom, not a side. So this is a side. This whole line right here is a side. Inside of the window, which I'm not going to put it on top because I don't want to mess up my marker, but these insides of the windows, that's the same side as this. The stop sign is the same side. The sign, the storefront, the fronts of the stairs, the face of the house, the sides of this is actually pops out. Air conditioner pops out. So things like these, and then this should be the same over here, and yeah, these guys on the sides here should be the same. It didn't quite carry through. That doesn't really happen. I tried to do that in certain places, like it worked here. It worked on this side pretty well, and it kind of worked here. I started losing it. This side is just that just went to hell. You can see that this is definitely, you can see that this is a box, and you can see that this is a clear box, And this, if you were to trace it out over it, it can make the box. This dips inside, like you can see that it's dipping in. The same with the windows, everything here. Here, I kind of have a side here and construct it, and then I just went straight into contour. And it just gets really noodly, and it doesn't fit. These bricks aren't actually coming out. I just kind of tossed a little corner on the inside of them, but that still looks really flat. It doesn't really, like, I got away with it enough at the time, but I'm looking at it now and I'm like, oh, I should have, instead of trying to just put an inside, try to put this thing on the inside, I should have dipped the wall in or built the bricks out. But just turning the little thing in, that was, something, that's a shortcut I took that I thought was going to actually work out as a shortcut. Looking back now, it certainly did not. But like I said, at the time, this was something that I had not really accomplished in the past. So I was really stoked about this. So, but that's the construction part. Then, and you can still see the lines, the contour comes in with my line qualities. There's definitely a change in line quality that will say, okay, this is in front of this. And this comes out further than this with the thickness, and the lines go slimmer to show thick to thin to show weight, but also distance. Closer things have a thicker line, and just like heavier things have a thicker line. Which is why the lines are thicker coming from the bottom and then thinner as they go up to give a feeling of being planted into the ground. That might be getting like a little complex there, but that's pretty much what I was doing here. You could see it especially in the bushes. And so I just wanted to show you guys something that I did, even though it's fairly old, just to show you where some of these concepts are coming from that I'm trying to slowly, little by little bit, introduce. And another one of my crappy little ones there. With this one, the tree was actually fairly constructed. I did kind of construct the tree, and then the contour lines, the details, and then just the lines, everything followed the construction. And so the tree, I felt, came out really attractive. And I did the same thing here for this temple. And I felt just the way I was able, because I constructed it entirely first, instead of trying to jump back and forth, I was able to get more out of my line quality and to get more out of the drawing. So I was able to have more expressive lines instead of just sitting there and trying my damnedest just to make it look like something. Whereas this guy here was just a total flop. It is not even the slightest bit constructed. There's no slope on the stairs. I didn't really, build these doors in. And I tried to use contour to make up for the fact that I didn't construct this at all. I just tried to show planes with contour alone, and it did not work out. In fact, I have here where the window actually overlaps the top of the roof impossibly. Let me see. This one's kind of small. Let me zoom in on a little, because you could barely even see what's going on, even non-zoomed. It's really spectacularly bad. But you can see where I tried to replace construction with line quality, and it just did not work as compared to line quality following the construction. Zoom back out. As compared to line quality following the instruction, where I was able to get, lines that even now, you look back at your old stuff and you're like, oh my God, it was terrible. I still find this to be very beautiful, and I don't think I just hope that as I continue and go forward, this is the level of quality this one that I would like to see in all of my work, whereas I never want to see anything that I touch ever come out looking like this other one again. So, go back and look at your old stuff, compare it to what you do. Look at stuff that you really, really liked, and look at stuff that you really, really hated, and evaluate why. Why was it so bad to you? Why is it so good to you? And make sure that why it's good is a reason that it'll always be good, and you won't look at it tomorrow and think, oh my God, this is shit. And that the reasons why you don't like them and they're bad, you can figure out how to fix it and how to never do that again. So yeah, it's just exploration, and that's another thing with the construction. Because I constructed it first, let me bring it back real quick. Because I constructed it first, I was able to experiment and explore all in without. I did this in blue pencil with a little bit of red, just to put the shapes in, and then this is an ink brush, and I went directly into the strokes, no pencil, and I was able to work with confidence, and that's why the lines came out expressive. And that doesn't happen. You don't get that confidence when you are figuring things out, when you're trying to put the image down. So long-winded about it, but there's a reason for that. Construction comes first.